Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand call-in show, and I'm sure it's going to be a tasty one this afternoon with a lot to be said after Manchester United failed to get the win in Istanbul yesterday. Joining me to do the call-in show with me as my co-host is Double A. Double A, becoming a regular thing now.
I'm loving it, absolutely. I think obviously,
no more dad jokes though. I'm joking, keep them going.
That's all I know. No more dad jokes. I might as well go on, Beth. To be honest with you, that's my forte. No, I mean, we spoke about it a lot last night. We got our opinions on the fan forum. It'd be interesting to see what other people have to say. I think there was a lot of divided opinion on how the game went last night and who's to blame, so to speak. So I'm really interested to see what the community have to say over the nose. It's tricky being a United fan at the moment. The ups and downs seem quite regular, and I think it seems to be the story of the season. You believe in this team and then they let you down several times over. So I'm interested to find out what people have to say, and if I'm going to get cooked. I was getting cooked a little bit in the comments, I think, on the forum as well last night, and Twitter as well. Mate. So I'm looking forward to see if anyone wants to cook me tonight.
Yeah, we'll call up if you want to cook. Call up. But we've got our first caller in, Osman. Osman, are you with us? Osman?
Hello, Osman.
Hello.
Hi. Osman, I mean, I know you've had a lot to say on Twitter and socials and stuff, but just take the floor with how you saw last night and how you see things going forward.
Yeah, I mean, just firstly, just want to shout out, obviously, the content that you guys put out, man. It was absolutely fantastic. Just want to just quickly throw that out. And also
Thanks,
credit to Faz as well, man. Yeah, obviously, absolutely smashed it, obviously, alongside Ryan with the clips and that. But, I mean, that's the positive. The negatives, I mean, look, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all the United fan base when I said Onana is to blame for realistically for most of that game. So I'm not going to bore everyone and say the same rhetoric that you're going to get from every fan calling you. Yeah. So I'm not actually going to mention Onana's name, realistically speaking. So yes, I am acknowledging he is to blame. But I think for me personally, Eric Ten Hag is the reason we're out of the Champions League, if I'm being honest. And it's completely Eric Ten Hag's fault. Look, at the end of the day, people are going to say the players. I completely agree with that. Don't get me wrong, I will get onto them. However, there's a lot of sayings I probably don't know off the top of my head. But in life, right, you can when someone does you over the one time, you can accept it. Say, what, it's my fault. I was too trusting. The second time, you're like, I should really know better at this point. I fell for the same trap twice. How is he falling for the same trap 3 times? 3 times in the group stage, we've led opposition. And when I say opposition, I'm not talking Bayern Munich. Obviously, we were behind in that game. Yeah. I'm talking mediocre opposition, with all due respect to Copenhagen and Galatasaray. Shout out to Galatasaray, by the way. They deserve that. But that being said...
Did they?
I don't think they
did. In terms of their fans deserve that. Not in terms of performance, we gave them the game.
Yeah.
But in terms of from a Manchester United perspective, it's absolutely embarrassing. You score 3 goals against Copenhagen and you don't win. You score 3 against Galatasaray away, you don't win. You score 2 against Galatasaray Old Trafford, I think it might be 2 or 3. I lost count, don't win. It's just not acceptable. And then we beat Copenhagen by 1-0. And it's because Onana saves a penalty and Maguire scores a goal. Who would have wrote that script? I mean, the fact that this has been the situation throughout the entirety of the campaign. Yes, we can look at yesterday's game. Obviously, we're all fuming. I'm still pissed off with Delo, by the way, but we'll get onto that at some point. But regarding the game, at 3-1 up, is absolutely inexcusable to be bottling that lead. Yes, the players are culpable. Yes, Onana is culpable. But I'm looking at the manager who's earning the money. What are you doing to affect the game at 3-1? And it's the 3rd time we've been in a situation where we're ahead against a lesser opposition and we've crumbled. And he's made the same mistake. And it's just common sense. How on earth at 3-1 on Manchester United still playing a game of football like it's basketball? We needed the points. I don't care. It's 60 minutes on the clock. With 3-1, in my head, I'm thinking we've won. I didn't even, at that point, I said we've won. Even though we've had the absolute shit show prior in the other couple of games where we've had absolute calamities, I thought there's no way on God's given earth that we can throw the game away from this situation. And for some reason, it takes off Amrabat. I know that was
because he's on a yellow.
I know Scott scored, But he's taken off Amrabat. He's on a yellow card, okay. But you've got to trust him.
Yeah.
You've got to trust him as a professional footballer to keep his head. He's an experienced international player that's played at the highest level on the international stage in the World Cup under immense pressure, and he's held his nerve against Mbappe and Cohen and Watford. And you're telling me he's not capable of doing another 30 minutes. I'm sorry.
Do you think that's an excuse that people are giving Ten Hag? Do you think that's an excuse?
He left Kobe Mainoo in a situation where the guy's got no experience, right? And this isn't even a dig at Kobe. He did as good as he could do. But there was like an island to that for him to defend. Just shut up shop. We're 3-1-0. We needed the 3 points. And he's done it countless times. And I said this to so many people, and I don't know if I've tweeted this. If that is Jose Mourinho, we win that game 3-1.
Oh, easy.
Because there's no way on God's given earth that we leave that stadium without 3 points. And sometimes you've got to not be stubborn. Just get the job done. And I know people saying, oh, when you criticize the lack of attacking football. This is the Champions League. You do what you got to do. It's away from home in hell, supposedly. And he's naive again 3 times. Like I've said, against Copenhagen, you bottled it already. You've done it against Galatasaray at Old Trafford. And you're bottling it against Galatasaray again. It's not good enough.
Do you think then... Sorry, do you think then that Ten Hag's getting off a bit lightly because everybody's blaming Onana, which rightly so, like he did make 2 obvious errors. Third one was a bit of a screamer, but still could have done better. So do you think because everyone's so focused on Onana's individual errors, Ten Hag's getting off a little bit lightly in the sense of he should have made different substitutions at that point in the game?
I mean, look, everyone, like I said, we all agree Onana's a cost of the game. We understand that. However, you got to look at it from a logical standpoint. How can I affect the game as a manager? At 3-2, he still doesn't bring Varane on. Like, Varane's right there, and people will say he came on, I can't remember who was against, but he completely threw the game. And no, that's a fair point.
Copenhagen away, wasn't it?
Yeah, Copenhagen, sorry. Yeah, and Varane was absolutely shocking that game. I'm not going to defend him. However, Lindelof was getting killed in that game for the whole entirety of the second half. You were letting people run off him just constantly. And for me personally, right, when you've made the mistake twice prior, as I've alluded to, the third time, you've got to be street smart. Like I said, I don't care. We parked the bus and counter-attack. We had Garnacho on the pitch. Sorry, he went off at that point. But we had Anthony Palestri and Martial, who are more than capable of going 3v3 in a counter-attacking situation and score. Obviously, they didn't do that in this yesterday, but they definitely should have. But the point being is, why the hell will we so open? In that situation, it shouldn't be a basketball game. Kill the game, take the sting out the game, and just see it through. That's what professionals do. And again, this is where the players have to be accountable as well. At the end of the day, for me, that midfield in the second half, when we were 3-1 up, was absolutely inexcusable. It was absolutely embarrassing.
You absolutely.
Like,
Osman, just quickly, mate. So, just to speak on Ten Hag a little bit. Obviously, he's an experienced manager. You know, he's not new to this, and he has got that experience in the Champions League. One thing fans spoke about being excited about Ten Hag was obviously his record in this competition with Ajax. Obviously, you think of that season, they nearly got to the final. So, for you then, because I'm really interested to find out what fans think about Ten Hag and where he's going wrong. Why do you think then in this competition he's continuously showing this naivety when you think, you know, you'd quickly learn these lessons if it's happening once, like you say, you can forgive. Twice is silly. 3 times is absolutely unforgivable. So for you, where do you think he's going wrong and why do you think he's making these decisions?
It's complete stubbornness. That's the bottom line, really. I mean, he keeps picking the same players over stubbornness as well. I think for me personally, you know, in that scenario, like I said, he's already been in that situation 2 times prior and it's not worked out. You know, the stubbornness not to change the tactics, or maybe this is just the person he is as a manager. Obviously, I haven't watched Ajax week in, week out, so maybe there are a lot of flaws within his games that we obviously didn't see as United fans. Of course, we saw the glitz and the glamour, so to speak. But for me personally, I think it massively exposes the tactical naivety. Like I said, I can name you countless managers that been there, done that, got the t-shirt, that would have never lost that game for the 3rd time. Like, the first time you can accept it, the second time you can say fair enough, but the 3rd time, I'm sorry. And he's got away with murder for me. I don't know how the fans are not looking at Ten Hag and questioning his tactical awareness. I mean, it's just not acceptable. I'm sorry. And we're out of the Champions League because of individual mistakes. I think we'd all agree on that. But as a manager, you've got to take accountability for what happens on the pitch. And for him to allow that situation to happen again, for me, screams out he's not capable at the top level. I just don't think he's got the minerals for it. I mean, he had to make the big calls. he did not make the big calls. At the end of the day, Pep Guardiola, Klopp, Jose, Conte, Tuchel, Ancelotti, name who you want. And Simeone, obviously that's an exception because he parks the bus all the time anyways. But all these managers who are, the creme de la creme, so to speak, the top of the tree, they see that game out with absolute ease. And if anything, they win 4 or 5-1 because eventually Galatasaray will, of course, get desperate and continue to push people further. We didn't even frustrate them. At 3-1, all we had to do was shut up shop for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And they would have just overloaded the bodies because they knew they needed 2 goals. They had to score 2 goals. He just had to shut shop for 10 minutes and we would have won 4-5-1.
So the way you're going, Osman,
it would have been a lightweight win. Like, to throw the game away from that scenario again, it just shows to me tactically he's either stubborn or naive, and either way for me, it's not good enough.
So the way you're sounding there is just quickly. Last question: Are you Erik ten Hag out then, or are you losing faith in him rapidly?
I've lost faith in him a while ago. I can't lie to you. I mean, it's quite apparent, isn't it? Look, for me personally, right, at the end of the day, Ten Hag has to earn his stripes. Last season, he earned his stripes, and fair play to him. He did well. But this season, he has to kick on. He spent another, God knows how many millions. Mason Mount's not playing. Onana's been absolutely atrocious for most parts. Anthony, for me, has been an absolute flop. People saying Anthony had a good game last night. He had a good game by Anthony's standards. Guess what? That standard is nowhere near the level.
It's a small sample size. Osman, we'll have to call it there, mate, unfortunately. But thank you so much for your call. It's interesting. You're taking everything.
Thank you, Osman.
We'll speak to you soon, mate. All right, take care.
Thank you. I mean, you can hear the frustration in his voice, which is obvious. I honestly woke up this morning, I was like, no. Not today. Not today. It's
one of them, you're trying to forget that back of your mind, keep yourself busy so you don't have to think about what was last night. But no, brilliant call, first call. We love Osman, he's very opinionated and he speaks from the heart. You can tell he has his heart on the sleeve when it comes to United.
Absolutely, which is, I mean, it's so frustrating for everyone right now who just wants to get behind it. Well, we're all behind this club massively, but it's just like one thing after another. And the worst part about yesterday is, even 3-1 up, you didn't feel comfortable.
No,
and they proved why.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as that first goal goes in, back of your head, you start to think that something could go wrong, and invariably with this Manchester United team, sadly it does.
I do want to say quickly.
Yeah.
People won't want to hear this right now, but we can still get through. We have to beat Bayern, and Copenhagen and Galatasaray have to draw. So I'm sure if everyone is going to the game, you will be, Bayern Munich. Everyone will have one eye on the Copenhagen Galatasaray game. To be honest, it'd be so Man United for Galatasaray and Copenhagen to draw and us still get beat. And probably get beat like 4-3 as well. Lee says, hi guys, he won't drop Onana, his signing 40 mil. Afraid Altay, once picked, will keep his big signing out of the team, making him stubborn. Ten Hag needs a kick up the backside.
Seems that way.
I mean, we are going to see Altay Bayındır when Onana goes to AFCON. It's just whether we see him or not before that, which I'm going to be honest, I don't think Ten Hag will drop Onana. Absolutely not. He'll definitely be having words with him today, though. I
think so. I actually pulled some stats from the two. We can talk about him a little bit later if we've got a caller that wants to talk about the goalkeepers. But yeah, we'll get into our next call, and we have Sam on next, who would like to talk about the progress under Ten Hag, which will be interesting to see where he stands on this. Sam, are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
How are you doing? You okay?
Hi, Sam.
I'm good, yeah, I'm good. My screen's gone down though, so we can't see you.
Oh, well, you can hear us, that's the main thing.
Probably, some people say that's probably better for you, mate, to be honest with you.
Speak for yourself. I'm joking, yeah, it's true.
Fire away. What do you want to talk about in returns to the progress under Ten Hag?
Yeah, I mean, just to comment on what Osman was saying as well, though, I mean, you have to set it into perspective, that match last night, though. I mean, that's the first time United have scored at Galatasaray.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can underestimate the effect it has on the team as well, that the goalkeeper is so shaky behind you. I mean, Ten Hag, he has to take some of the culpability. But, I mean, Galatasaray, first time we've scored there away from home.
Yeah.
And then Onana dropping those two free kicks like that. I mean, you can't underestimate that. But anyway, I want to talk about the progress. Yeah, because Ten Hag said after the game that he can see progress. And to be honest, I think I can too. But I mean, it's like he came in, right? If you imagine United under Ollie, it was a bungalow, and Ten Hag wants to build the second floor, right? He's got to do it brick by brick. And if we were City, then they tear the house down and just build a new one. But we can't because our hands are tied behind our backs by the Glazers. So he's got to do it brick by brick. And, when you do it brick by brick, obviously there's no roof yet, so it's going to be you're going to get like flooding. And that's basically where we're up. That's where we're up to right now. We can't play the Ten Hag way because we don't have the players to do it. So at the moment, we're playing this no man's land, sort of in between, neither here nor there football.
Mm-hmm. Do you think though, saying that, or this excuse gets used a lot for Ten Hag about he hasn't got the players? Do you think, obviously going off last season, do you think even this season he should be getting a better tune out of what is actually there though?
I think so.
This sort of weak mentality, or what we're seeing in terms of just the heads dropping when something goes against them. Do you think he should be getting a better tune out of what he currently has in the squad though?
I mean, you could say that, yeah, but I think that if you look at our team, and I mean, our best player is undoubtedly Bruno, but Bruno isn't a Ten Hag player. You can't drop Bruno. So what do you do? It's a catch-22.
What I would say is, what would you say to people that say he's spent 400 mil, he's signing that was nearly 90 mil in Anthony, hasn't worked. Onana so far, I know I wanted him, but I'm not the one who's the manager. Onana so far hasn't worked. I mean, you look across the board, Casemiro last year, yeah, he was good, but this year started really poorly. Obviously, Martinez looks like a great signing. That's probably the only Erik ten Hag signing, Martinez, now, where you think for the future, absolutely, that's a good signing. Yeah. What would you say to the people that say, well, he spent 400 mil and not a lot of it looks like it's working?
Well, I would still say he's still only got half a team. I mean, like I say, with the house, you know, if you only got half a roof, it's still going to rain.
True.
Yeah.
I don't think you can change. I don't think you can say that his signings have been bad. I don't think we've seen the best of them because they're not playing in the right system, because they're not playing his way. Because he's bought those players to be able to play his way, but it's going to take windows. It's going to take 3 seasons, if I'm honest. That's to be realistic.
Absolutely. So Sam, you sound like you Ten Hag in and you back the manager.
Oh, definitely.
What would you say to those fans then? Not necessarily Ten Hag out, but starting to lose a bit of faith in the manager. What would your advice be, or words of encouragement be, for him to get behind the man that we have in charge at the moment?
I would liken it to when Ferguson came into the club, though, because I mean, we went. How many seasons was it where people were calling for Ferguson to go as well?
Yeah, exactly. About 3-4 seasons.
He had to change the culture at the club. I mean, and that's where we're at now with United. He's trying to change the style of play. He's trying to bring in the players that want to play his way and want to play for him, but he's still being hampered by the likes of, you know, Maguire and McTominay and. You know, and like I say, even though Bruno is our best player, he's not a Ten Hag player.
No, you're right.
I do think, Sam, to be honest with you, you're making a really good point in the sense of, I've been thinking this as well. We are at that transition phase where we are going to lose games, we are transitioning, and I don't want to always liken us to Arsenal, but Arteta had this period where Arsenal were not getting results, and it was that transition period. And I feel like that's the transition period we're in with Ten Hag. He had that first year where he knew he had to get results to stay in a job. He knew he had to try and get us Champions League so he could spend money in the summer. Yeah. Now we're in this transition period. Yes, he's making mistakes. He's adapting himself. You know, he's managing the Eredivisie, yes, but that's nothing compared to the Premier League. Mistakes are going to happen. It's whether people want something now, and media, or they're willing to wait and give this man time to eventually progress for the future. And I feel like that's basically what you're saying, Sam. But Sam, quickly, before we let you go, in regards to Onana, would you be dropping him if you were Ten Hag, or would you persist?
It's a tough one because I mean I was for De Gea, but I mean I think that just to give Onana a bit of an excuse. I mean he bought Onana to play with Martinez. He bought Onana to play with Luke Shaw and Varane. And he's not been able to play with those players. So I don't think we've seen the best of Onana. And I think that's also the difference between the start of this season and last season. I mean, if you look at, it was a long, hard season last season. That's why Casemiro's come back and he's out of form because he's tired, he's knackered. Absolutely. And Martinez is out. Shaw's been out until last night. I mean, I think we've got to just bite the bullet and just give it time.
I agree.
Just see it out.
I absolutely agree.
Otherwise, we're doing another restart, and we're going to be waiting another 5-6 seasons. You know what I mean? If we sack him now.
Yeah, I agree, Sam. I think you're absolutely spot on.
Thank you
so much for your comment.
Bringing a different dimension to the calling. Thank you.
Take care.
Really like how we had Osman, who was completely different side of the coin to Sam. You know, back to back. I love when we have calls like that because you see 2 completely different perspectives, and I think it's great for the viewer as well because all you guys at home are going to have different opinions. Like we'll differ on certain things. Everyone's different, so to get them different perspectives is really nice on the calling show. Got a couple of chats to read out here. So Patrick says, somebody should ask Ten Hag why you keep making the same errors. He's talking about progression. We are seeing midfield outrun and a deep defence line and zero control in games. We do play a bit, we have played high in some games, but we have played deep in others. It's weird. But I do want to ask if anybody wants to call up and speak a little bit about McTominay. I feel like this is a really good subject.
Yeah.
Make sure you click the link in the Discord because I really want a conversation about McTominay. Some people like what he brings is, you know, late box presence, can score goals, has the height. But then also people are thinking, as a midfielder, is he offering enough over the course of 90 minutes? Probably not. And why is Ten Hag backtracked when he was open to McTominay going in the summer and he barely played him last season and he scored a couple of goals? It's like, right now you're in every game. Is that all it takes under Ten Hag?
It's right. It can't, because a lot of people say, well, it's because after he scored the 2 goals against Brentford, he was back in. He's been in the team ever since then. I don't think it is just that. And a lot of the time, we don't see training. So whether he's impressed with his attitude and his application, and maybe conversations he's had with McTominay. We don't know if McTominay said, I'm desperate to stay. It's my club. I'll prove you wrong. And he comes on, scores 2 goals.
He's a good super sub to have. I stand by that.
Yeah.
I think he's a squad player.
I think he's shown that.
Let him go as a squad player.
I think he's shown that. And listen, I'm not his biggest fan at all, but you have to give praise where it's due. He's come on and in some instances he's proven what he is good at. And I think we need to find a role for him that suits him for 90 minutes, if it's going to play for 90 minutes. Because playing as an 8, playing as a 6, for me, are not his strong suits. I just don't think he can do it either because he doesn't progress the ball well enough. And as we've seen by his stats, he doesn't pass enough, and he has that label that he ghosts and he disappears. And there's even instances he don't track back properly. But when you see him playing up top, he's stuck up the 10 as a false 9. He's showing his strengths.
I've seen a clip from yesterday where Manu has the ball and he's got like 3 players around him, and somebody quoted it say, just look at McTominay here, and he's literally just stood hid behind a player, not going to help him out at all. And that, in some cases, he doesn't always do that, but you see it too often for a midfielder at Man United. I stick by the fact I think he's a great super sub to have. If you need a goal, shove him into the box, because his late runs into the box can work superbly. If you're shutting up shop, he can do a job of sitting back and being an aerial presence off corners to defend for you. So I think that's the way he should be used. But I think it shows the fact he is a starter for us, shows the lack of quality of options we have, to be honest.
We thought at the start of the season that had all been sorted. We had Eriksen, who played well for us last season. We had Mount come in that a lot of people were looking forward to, yourself included. Obviously, Amrabat had come in. There was Domain, who obviously got injured. Casemiro, Bruno, we thought we had enough there, that we thought we got enough quality, and if McTominay stays, if he can get some minutes, he has to prove his worth, and the injuries and people out of form have just led to him playing probably more minutes than Ten Hag would have expected, and maybe even McTominay himself. But like you say, you can never fault his attitude, and you can never fault him wanting to do the best. It's just obviously sometimes maybe his football, and his technical ability don't match that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Next caller we have is Shaf. We know Shaf.
We love Shaf.
We love Shaf. He wants to talk about yesterday's game. I think a lot of people will. Shaf, are you with us?
Afternoon, Shaf.
Hi guys, you okay?
Good.
Yes,
all the better for hearing you, my friend.
It's great to have you on. I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say, Shaf. So just take the floor.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say well done to both of you guys, because it's hard after a result like that, sitting on there and giving your own opinion, but also giving that balance, and that's hard to do. So props to you guys.
Thank you.
I just want to say to everyone listening, no problem. Yeah, I just want to say to everyone listening, just breathe in, breathe out, because it's easy. Like, I just watched the game before I came on, right? And people forget that obviously it means that, you know, Champions League hopes are, you know, dangle on a little rope there. But the performance itself was not bad. Like, I seen a lot of things. Amrabat, his performance was really good. When he was on there, he was cleaning up shop, very good. Garnacho's weak foot finish, amazing. Bruno, captain goal. Anthony also had a good shift. And the reason I'm mentioning these things is because, you know, I know all of the talking points are going to be about Onana. It's important to have that balance.
Yeah.
It's very easy to let our emotions cloud our judgment. Now, I agree with Sam. You know, when Sam was on just before me, he said about the building blocks and, you know, how can we even judge Ten Hag when the building blocks are not there?
Yeah.
What I want to say to everyone is everything we do at United, right? Not just Ten Hag, before Ten Hag, it's been a catch-22, meaning like it's an impossible situation that we're prevented from doing one thing until we've done another thing, and that other thing we can't do because we can't do the first thing. So that's what he's working with now. And like just on the performance alone yesterday, I see enough of Ten Hag to say, look, he's going in the right direction. And even his post-match comments, he talked about the long-term plan, and I know that he's doing the right things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we had Ali after every defeat, through no fault of his own, he used to laugh and smile?
Yeah. He's
I used to not be able to watch because it annoyed me so much.
Yeah, he put that brave face on, and nothing was ever worrying him. The garden was always rosy. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Sometimes I feel like saying, just show a little bit of frustration.
Yeah. Shaf, can I ask you quickly? Obviously, Kev said it yesterday, and I think it's a brilliant point that, you know, a lot of the focus will be on the two goals or 3 goals from Onana. But if we win that game 3-1 or 2-0, whatever it could have been, the positives would have outweighed any negative at all, because of, like you said, with Anthony and Bruno, Garnacho, Amrabat all putting in decent performances. The backline weren't the worst. You mentioned Ten Hag showing signs of progression. I'm really interested to know, can you narrow down what it is you're seeing him doing? Just give us 2 or 3 points you think he's excelling or doing really well in at the moment that you've seen the signs of encouragement.
Okay, so Mainu, the role he had in play, and he did that little cameo where he obviously turned the ball one back possession, recycled it. I think Garnacho as well, like, you know, putting him on the left, and even like some would say, how are you taking Rashford from his strong position and putting a young person in his place to accommodate?
Yeah.
That's a bold move. I rate him for that. Also, Varane. Now, you know, Varane, like, I want to talk about Varane. Varane's on the bench, and I've seen a picture of them shaking hands the other day, and maybe that's PR, maybe something deeper into it.
Yeah.
But look, Varane, people forget, Varane can't keep fit. He plays one game, maybe injured 2 times. So, you know, I think he's either, this is me speculating, either he's trying to game manage Varane, or at this moment in time, you know, I used to say all the time, you don't change a winning team.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we still got January, we still got February, we still got March, we still got all these months. You know, he hasn't thrown Varane away. I think the way he's managed that situation, even when he was asked about Varane, he said, look, competition, and that same energy he gave with Maguire, that same energy he gave with everyone. And for a player, that's good to have, because you want balance in the dressing room.
Yeah.
You don't want people to think. Remember, I think it was Eric Bailly who accused Solskjaer of like favoritism, borderline racism. He was like, "Oh, some players are picked over me." You don't want that, because we, the fans, we want to see one thing, but when you're managing the situation, you need to manage it in an appropriate way. Now, I know he's not perfect, and people might turn around. What about Sancho? What about Ronaldo? I think when Ronaldo left, my heart bled, because I'm like Ronaldo. That's the one time I become Faz. I let emotion cloud my judgment. but I think if you're looking forward, he's going along the right lines. And one question I'll ask back to both of you guys, honestly speaking, hand on heart, if we were to listen to the naysayers and get rid of Ten Hag, who would you get? And do you, hand on heart, think that they'll do a better job? It's not a simple case of they're going to use this tactic or they're going to use that player. Think about all of the issues that Ten Hag's dealing with. All of the issues, it's like one hand's behind his back.
I mean, Shaf, I'm going to answer you extremely honestly. I've not even thought about getting rid of Ten Hag. No. I've genuinely not. And I know friends of mine that feel like we should. I know people that feel like they should. People in the United stand, like Ricky. I don't know where Faz's head's at. He always says, give it till this week. But for me, I've not even thought about it, because yes, he's made mistakes, but I'm not one of them people that as soon as anybody makes a mistake, I just want to throw him away. I need to see it over a period of time, a good period of time, and then eventually, you know, I'll get to the end of my tether. That's the one, and I'll think, you know what, I need to evaluate this. But for me, with Ten Hag, I really want to see him under the Sir Jim structure, and I think I've honestly said I think he needs at least 3 years before we even make any sort of rash decisions whatsoever. I want to evaluate him after 3 years and see what the progress is. So I haven't even thought about getting anyone else in.
Yeah, I echo that exactly. I love Ten Hag. For me, he's the right man. I think what he's gone through in the last 18 months and where he's got us on the back end of last season, I think there's not many managers that would come in. You know, there's always fanciful names that people want. Zidane, for instance, is always one of them.
Well.
Yeah. But
have you guys watched the Arsenal documentary?
I've watched it, yeah.
Yeah, I've watched it, yeah.
Okay. I
Arteta was
say it
under it,
because
under it. He was under
yeah,
it.
I
Yeah,
say watch
yeah.
it. I say watch it to everyone who hasn't watched it because if you compare Arteta at his beginning, that is obviously literally a day in the life. You can see he's more or less in the same position that Ten Hag finds himself in. He inherited a mess, but the difference was, when Franke's son actively got involved and he thought, you know what, we're gonna spend, even when they were making losses both financially and it didn't make sense what they were doing. They were doing it, and you know what, it paid off. And look at Arsenal winning yesterday 6-0. Someone in the Discord chat said, "Oh, it's like a night and day difference." But guys, it's not. They woke up one day, they decided to play like that.
Yeah.
Look at the
It's a
groundwork that they
process.
put in.
Yeah.
And Ten
So
Hag
much foundations.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a process.
So many foundations. I mean, Shaf, lastly, I want to ask you two quick questions. They're just yes or no's. One of them is, should Onana be dropped? And the second one is, do you think we'll still make it out of the Champions League group?
First one, Onana, no. I think we need to give him a bit of time, especially with goalkeepers. De Gea had a similar bedding in process. And the second one, I think, guys, in boxing when you're getting knocked out and then you've got a puncher's chance. I think that's what United have at this moment in time. The realist in me says no, but I think we have a puncher's
You're
chance.
not out until you're out.
There's a bit of luck involved, I suppose. There is a bit of luck involved. Lastly, Shaf, sorry, one last thing. If we were to not make it out the group, would you rather drop into the Europa or just drop out altogether?
I don't say Europa. My heart hurts every time you say that word, man. You know what? I do think we need a bit of a detox. So either or, I think we just need that breathing space to regroup and, start again. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Shaf, for calling in.
Great to
Appreciate
speak to you again, mate. Take care, okay?
All right, nice one.
Thank you.
All of us.
Love
yeah,
Shaf.
Yeah, really, really knowledgeable, makes some really good points, gets you thinking, and he sees it from both sides, and you have to be balanced. As much as you can let the love for your club cloud your judgment sometimes, and I think when you do the forum, sometimes because you're still in that emotion, you see it, you watch yourself back. I will watch myself back sometimes and think, maybe I'm talking on emotion now rather than
all the time.
common sense.
I do that all the time. I watch it back the next day and I'm like, why did you say that, Beth? Why did you get so irate, Beth? Like,
Kev's having a peep, weird stuff.
If I was a manager, honestly, I couldn't do it. It's like, a bit how Arteta sometimes loses his head in the post-match. I'd come out and if I had a VAR go against me, I would literally get fined like 100 grand every time. I'd be getting banned to the sidelines. I need at least like 2 hours to calm down.
Calm down, and they throw you out straight away. Like you literally have to talk straight away on it, and you think if you're rattled, and you're going to say some outlandish stuff. I'd get myself in trouble.
My mum knows. Bear in mind, when we watch the game here, if I've been at Old Trafford or if we're watching it in the studio together, we then have a period while Mark's doing his final score.
Yeah.
And then we go on the forum, then I have to tidy stuff away, and then I have to drive home.
Yeah.
Still then, when I walk through the door, my mum knows. She just gives me a look. She doesn't say anything. She knows not to speak to me if it's been a bad day. Yesterday I got in. I was sat there for about an hour, and then she went, the goalkeeper weren't great, was he? I was like, Mum, stop it. It's one of them. Bless her. Love it.
Let's get our next call, and then we
have
Nolan, who would like to talk about the future of Manchester United. That could be a whole show, Nolan, but good to speak to you. Let us know what it is that you think is happening and what you'd like to see for the future of the club.
Yeah, I think Beth even just touched on it briefly. I'd really continue to push that Ten Hag needs at least 3 years here.
Yeah.
So I really liked that talking point because I completely agree. I'm sick and tired of this fire a manager before he's even finished his third year. Sometimes we fire him before they finish their second year.
Absolutely.
And so I really want to get past that. And then I wanted to talk about the future with some of these players like, I know everybody's kind of been talking about it, but like Onana, people are already calling for him to be replaced. People are calling for him to be sold, which I just think is ridiculous. It's like they're playing, foot manager or something, and they think that you can just get these players in and out like your favorite candy bar. You're just like, oh, I'm done with that candy bar. Let me try a different one. It's just not how it works. So we have to get behind these players. I actually was pro De Gea staying another year.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't happen, so I'm not going to be the person that sits there and goes, well, I told everybody so. Like, you got to look towards the future. You got to keep looking forward. We can't look back. We can't keep looking back to the past. That's what gets us stuck in these rotations. So I back Onana. I want him to do well. I want him to I don't want to bench him yet. I know everybody calls for a benching of him.
Yeah.
I actually don't think we should yet, but I think if we dropped into the Europa League, that's when I would start playing someone else at the goalkeeper position in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Here's one for you, Nolan. I had Mark. We were talking on the group chat with Mark before the call-in show, and he was saying that he wants Varane and Shaw to start at centre-back partnerships, and he's sick of the Maguire-Lindelof trial. He said, yeah, it worked at Everton, but we're not Everton ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got to be at the top level. What are your thoughts on that? Maguire's obviously been really good recently. He's banging form. Lindelof had a tough day of it yesterday. Varane and Shaw did work together last year and showed how good they could be together. Would you be looking to switch that? I know Ten Hag won't do it, I don't think, but would you be looking to do that?
I'd be willing to put my house that he won't do it. But it's such an interesting question because, like we've already talked about, Maguire wasn't even supposed to be here at the start of the season, and he is, and now he's starting, and he is playing well. All credit to him. Personally, yeah, I think I probably would start Varane and Luke Shaw. My issue is, who do we then have at left back?
Yeah.
We're pretty thin there, and I think Reguilon has done a good job of putting a shift in when he's called upon, but I wouldn't come out and say, oh my gosh, he's been one of the best players out there. So it's difficult because we don't have a lot of left back coverage, so I think because of that it won't happen. I think that's one of the reasons why, and I think Maguire hasn't done anything to necessarily lose his position, although in my opinion he hasn't done anything to completely cement it.
No.
He's just been kind of a little bit above average. If it were up to me, I would agree with Mark. I would do that. I would replace those two, bring them in. I also heard you mention McTominay earlier. I would not be starting McTominay. I don't like it personally. I really think we need to be putting in other players in those positions, and I like the idea of McTominay being a super sub.
Yeah.
I just don't think he offers enough starting. I really don't.
No. What about Rashford? Obviously, Rashford in contention to come back on Saturday against Newcastle, which is going to be an absolute, real tough test for this team, especially you think the confidence will be knocked because of last night. Anthony had a good game, Garnacho had a good game, and Højlund, you think it's going to click in the Premier League eventually. Obviously, Rashford's now being moved from his favourite position onto the right. Do you think he comes straight back in to the team on Saturday, or would you put him in?
I think Ten Hag's going to play Anthony's not healthy enough to play all these games yet. We're still getting him back in. So I think Rashford probably... Correct. He loves that one. Yeah. I think Rashford comes in on the right, and I think Garnacho starts again.
Yeah.
And I'm personally fine with that. But to answer your question, yeah, I think Rashford comes back in. It's the guy he loves, and for better or worse, we're paying him all this money. We need to start seeing, the Rashford we know that we can see, but we just haven't this season yet.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a worry for Rashford that Garnacho's doing so well on that left wing? Because obviously left wing is Marcus Rashford's spot. That's where he got majority of his goals last year. That's his best position. He's stated it on numerous different things. He talked about on the Gary Neville overlap. That left wing is his position. That's where he likes to play. But we have such an exciting young talent solidifying himself as a starter. Scored 2 brilliant goals back to back, and to be honest, for me yesterday, deserves to be on the end of a winning team.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a worry for him that he's been shifted out onto the right, but also that Garnacho is doing so well in his best position when Rashford's not really been showing that sort of form so far this year?
Yeah. What I really hope for is almost like one of those scenes from the old Popeye cartoon where as soon as things started to go wrong, Popeye took the spinach and all of a sudden turned into a monster. I'm really hoping this Garnacho thing's turned Rashford back into the monster that we know he can be. That's what I'm really hoping for here, is that he saw that wonder goal that Garnacho scored and said, wow, what a goal. And then he sees the next goal he scores with his weak foot and goes, all right, I really have to start kicking on now, because if I don't, I'm not going to be the face anymore of this, because here comes this competition has to be kicking him on, and I really hope it does, because I was worried about starting Garnacho so young. I've seen how this fan base just eats players alive, but he's really started to step up to the plate and started to impress me more and more, and you can't bench him now. You really can't.
I agree with you, Nolan. An absolutely brilliant call, and everyone in the chat loved it as well. Thank you so much.
Great to speak to you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Care.
I thought everything Nolan said there, I found myself agreeing with. I thought it was an excellent call.
It's almost like the balance stand today. The calls have been
We've had so many
level-headed. I was expecting
opinions.
a barrage of people crying, tears in their eyes.
I think people are used to it now. I know it sounds
That's
sad.
a sad thing.
But
That's the sad thing.
It's true, and it's unfortunate because it is embarrassing. Like, I've had City fans on the phone to me. I've had Liverpool fans on the phone
You've
to
answered
me.
the phone.
I don't know. I don't know. It's all on text.
Oh, right,
I don't
right.
answer
Fair
them. But I don't really know any Arsenal fans really. But I know a lot of London United fans will. But it's just like they're so far ahead of us. It's like, but I suppose
it's
Liverpool in
frustrating.
the Europa this year.
It's frustrating, but you'd be lucky that they're better than us in the league. You know, Liverpool are improving in other areas.
We're only in November.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I don't expect us to be challenging anytime soon.
No,
but
neither
it's one of those. Unfortunately, at the moment, we are through that sticky period. Well, they've been for the last 10 years, ups and downs and more downs and up. It's the problem I find with this United team is, especially for the last 2 seasons, the downs are really, really low. You think of the 7-0, you think of last night, you know, even the Copenhagen game. When are they going to start to learn? When are they going to start to click and get it and have that mentality? I watched the highlights of the Arsenal game this morning, and I thought to myself, we would never play like that.
No, but they're so far ahead of us in their
But even when you look at it, like, I couldn't see this team doing that in 2 or 3 years. Not this team. He
needs more investment.
He'd have to change so many players, but it's like the mentality just isn't there at the moment, and
that's why we crumbled so many times.
I just wish it would click, because a lot of the players, when they're on form, are absolutely brilliant and can play brilliant football. It's just we're not seeing it, and we don't ever feel confident, and that's the sad thing about your football team.
I hate to say it, but everyone's sick of this line. Rome wasn't built in the day. Arsenal are way further ahead of us. We do, even though people say, you know, we spent 400 million, we do still need more, and not every signing's going to work out.
Absolutely.
But still, in-game management massively needs to change.
You
But what I would
mentioned
say
it before.
the one thing I would say is we had a period this season where we looked like we could not score goals.
Yeah.
Recently, Everton and Galatasaray, we look like we can score goals.
Yeah.
Even Copenhagen, before that we had a man sent off, we look like we can score goals. That has improved.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The problem is with you saying to Sam before, you know, giving time and stuff like that. Football now, time isn't allowed. It's results based immediately. And as much as we would love Ten Hag to have the 3 years and to build, you never know what's around the corner. And I know another spanking off Liverpool, and I think his job is really in danger.
I agree with that, but I don't want to get spanked off Liverpool, even though it is a possibility.
No, absolutely not.
But what I would say is, sometimes you've got to go through it to reap the rewards. Like, if Arsenal would have sacked Arteta when literally Arsenal fans had Arteta out t-shirts, Arsenal wouldn't be where they are now.
No,
they would be on another rebuild.
Exactly.
So sometimes you've just got to have that patience for the long run. I really like this chat from Charles. When Pellistri came on last night, it should have been him on the right and Anthony on the left.
Yeah.
Swapping sides would have confused their defence more. Absolutely, 100% agree with you on that.
We said that last night.
Ten Hag when it comes to wingers, I don't agree with his opinions on him. I can't lie. The only one I can agree with is Garnacho. He just has a different philosophy to what I have when it comes to wingers.
Ricky said it so many times that, you know, play them on the strongest foot side. So
Ten Hag won't listen. He's got a different philosophy.
And Osman said it. He's too stubborn. But again, you know, like you said, trick the opponent, find different ways to confuse them and to get an advantage. That would have given us an advantage last night.
I've given up on it because Ten Hag is stubborn and he just has a different philosophy.
But it's proven that his stubbornness is causing us issues. Mm-hmm. He needs to lighten up and change his ways a little bit.
We've got DZ on next.
Oh, the legend DZ.
DZ, introduce yourself to the chat. Everyone knows who you are by now, I'm sure.
DZ.
What's up, guys? What's up, Marty, y'all?
Oh, here we go.
Y'all.
Joe, someone said Benzema last night, you know. Said I look like Benzema. I'll take that one.
You love having a little
I don't mean it. Was it Raya last season?
Yeah.
Then it's Gvardiol, now it's Benzema. I'll take them.
DZ, what do you want to actually, DZ, let's get started. I know you're a big fan of Amrabat. Do you think, based off his performance yesterday, he's going to start against Newcastle or should start?
I'll tell you what, he should be playing next to Mainu in midfield with Bruno. It's a no-brainer, and this is not even because I'm some kind of, you know, Amrabat stan. We should be protecting the back four away from home against Newcastle that are absolutely flying right now. It needs to be a smart decision, not this 2 number 8 nonsense, chase people around the field.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I honestly think yesterday, if Amrabat didn't get that yellow card, which he shouldn't have even got, I think it would have been McTominay being subbed for Mainu. I really do.
I agree.
I thought it was so unfortunate. And honestly, I know you can't say it because it is a butterfly effect, so we don't know what would have happened.
No.
But I genuinely think, and this isn't me trying to be sly McTominay, I just don't think he could offer much at that point in the game.
No.
But if that sub would have happened, Mainoo for McTominay, if Amrabat wasn't on that yellow, I mean, you can't fault the things, but I think we would have won.
Yeah.
I think we would have won that game because there was, yes, Onana made howlers, but the midfield lost all control at that point.
Yeah, we needed that control, we needed that solidity. We've said it. I think even Paul Scholes said it after the game. He agreed with that, and I think it's just one of those. You look at it in isolation, and he's probably done it for this reason. When really, like Osman said as well, he's professional. He knows to keep his head. He doesn't seem the type to lose his head and get a second booking Amrabat. So.
But you won't be saying that if you got sent off.
Well,
That's the only thing, isn't it?
Well,
So
it's hindsight.
it's
Again,
hindsight.
you look at it in different ways. DZ, I'm really interested. Obviously, we spoke about the midfield. I'm really interested to see or hear your opinions on the goalkeeper last night. Yes, he's made silly mistakes, but I feel the team do have to take some blame as well. Where do you stand on the whole issue of last night and Onana in general?
Yeah, I think it was the very first call-in show that Onana should have been dropped, and I think
you said that, didn't you?
But my biggest issue is he didn't play Bayender against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, or Newcastle.
I mean, it's just now we're in a position where he's either going to be thrown into the fire and succeed or thrown into the fire and fail, and then we're really in a tough position because Onana won't even be in the club.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I don't like anything about Onana's goalkeeping. In sports, you're seeing this transition of football. Quarterbacks need to run and shooting the 3-pointer from everywhere across, on the basketball court.
Yeah.
I need my goalkeeper to save shots before playing with the ball at his feet. And I don't like the way he parries the ball. I don't like the way he catches the ball. I really don't like anything about his goalkeeping play. And his distribution wasn't that great yesterday either. So I really don't know what we paid for. And I'm just going to throw this idea out you guys, okay?
Yeah.
I spent $50 million on Onana and $70 million on Højlund. Højlund has no Premier League goals, and Onana's arguably been kind of a flop. If you had $120 million right now, would you take Harry Kane instead of both of those guys and keep De Gea, right? I mean, now that you have what right? It sucks because you pay the money, maybe you get Kane.
Well, I get why people would think that, and hindsight is a beautiful thing. But Onana hasn't impressed me so far, I admit. But I really do like Højlund, and I know he's got no Premier League goals, but he's 20 years old. I see so much potential in him.
Yeah.
I really do. Harry Kane is absolutely off the charts, world class. We were silly not to go for him. We really were. But I wouldn't want to not buy Højlund because I think Højlund's going to be such a good player.
Yeah. I was happy to keep De Gea for one more season. I don't think he was an issue. I think Ten Hag has had to pivot because he couldn't get Kim Min-jae, couldn't get Kane, couldn't get Rabiot. I would take that. I would have took Harry Kane all day long. He's one of the. I know I've said previous, I would have wanted other strikers ahead of him. But if you're offering me De Gea for another season and Harry Kane to come in with that Premier League experience, I think I would take it. Yeah.
But also DZ. First of all, I do think just because Onana's been really poor doesn't mean De Gea was right. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's not either one or the
agree.
other. There's obviously other markets out there and there's other avenues. Like Man City, when they got rid of Joe Hart, which by the way, De Gea was way better than Joe Hart. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
He was way better than Joe Hart. But, Pep didn't, when he got Bravo, he didn't call Joe Hart up and was like, please come back. He went and got Edison then.
Yeah.
He knew he needed somebody different, but he stuck on his same philosophy. And also, yes, Harry Kane is absolutely world class and would have had Premier League goals by now, 100%. But he wouldn't be really getting any service either, like the way Højlund doesn't.
Yeah, I think his overall game is better. So I think he drops, and I think he helps the wing. Him and Rashford especially. I think he helps Rashford a lot more than Højlund is doing, or vice versa kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Højlund. He's a player I've loved for about the start of the year. Really, I really took notice of him. So he's someone I do love, and I think he's brilliant. I agree with you. The signs are there that he's going to be a world-class striker for me if he carries on the way he's going. But I just think in the summer, I think Harry Kane should have been the striker we went and got. I think it made sense that we got him, a world-class, experienced striker who was going to guarantee you goals no matter what. And like I say, it's not that I don't like Onana, and I do think he will come good under the right circumstances. I just would have kept De Gea for a season more. I don't see there was a reason for us to really get rid of him other than he's not the keeper that the manager wants. And in that instance, then yeah, you do have to get rid of him.
Well, the thing is, we are where we are, so we can't keep going into the past.
That's true.
But DZ, let's look to the future. The January transfer window is coming up. There's rumours that we are going to go in big for signings. I don't believe it at all, but they're the rumours. Rumour came out a little bit ago. Let me just get it up here. So it's coming from Sammy Mockbell at the Daily Mail, who is actually a very good journalist. He said Man United are currently among the clubs closely monitoring Ivan Toney ahead of the next 2 transfer windows. Okay. Is that someone you'd want to see United go and get in January?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need a striker because, to be honest with you, I'm not that happy with Højlund. And not that I don't rate him, just, I need goals. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous. Or even like assists, anything you helping create chances with. I don't think he's doing much of, but I just don't believe it. I mean, Ivan Toney, the manager, I don't even remember his name, the Danish dude said, it costs close to 100 million. Okay. Yeah, so are we going to spend $100 million on one player in January? That doesn't really scream Man United to me. That screams, Man City. It might even scream Arsenal now Chelsea, if they're really serious about winning the league. Yeah. Chelsea too. Yeah. So I just don't believe it. And to be honest with you, I know you're asking a lot of people what they thought about the game and going into Europa. I think if we go and finish 4th, January might be the time to sell all these guys and just look, we're not going to have to rotate the squad as much. Get rid of all the dead wood, take some hits on some players, just get them out of the club, really find out who your core team is that you want to take into next season. Because in my opinion, the season ended in September. I mean, how are you going to go into the league and win when City consistently gets 100 points or close to 100 points and we've already dropped 3 or 4 games? It's ridiculous. So I think January to me says more about selling than buying.
Yeah, I think it's all dependent on Jim Ratcliffe coming in and what he actually does and his control and focus and plan for Manchester United. But I agree with you. It would be nice for United to finally clear all this dead wood out. I'm
going to be honest. For me, Ivan Toney is an absolute no-brainer.
Oh, 100%. It'll never happen. I think he's an Arsenal or a Chelsea striker. It's got made for them to. It's just, I hate when United get linked to these signings that make too much sense because they don't do it. It doesn't happen.
I tweeted out before, Ivan Toney's no-brainer for me. I was like, I'm going to stop listening to you, Beth, after him out. And understandable. Understandable.
Ruin another career, Beth, why don't you?
But honestly, obviously, Højlund, whether we sign Ivan Toney or not, Højlund's going to be a future star at United, I think, anyway.
Yeah,
or he's going to be on the path. He's not going to be frozen out if Ivan Toney comes in.
No.
But Ivan Toney, I think he's 26, something along that line. 26, 27. He's guaranteed goals, Premier League proven,
really good.
Hungry to get to the next level, technically good, actually knows how to find the back of the net, which is what we need. Can do free kicks, which is so important because we've been really poor at free kicks.
Really bad. Yeah.
It just makes, like you said, too much sense. And I don't think it'd be 100. I think it'd be around 75. I think you could get him out for 75. And for me, that is well worth it in today's market.
Throw in McTominay or Martial or something as a sweetener.
No, you get Sancho out. And then you can maybe sell McTominay or Donny van de Beek and maybe one more player, and you can afford 70 million.
I just think, DZ, exactly. And like you said, I just think if we let him go to Arsenal or Chelsea, one, it's too good of a signing for them. That Arsenal, that just takes him to the absolute elite level. Yeah. And two, we would be missing out on someone that is perfect for us. That is, for example, when you just know that a signing cannot fail, that is one that cannot fail, in my opinion.
It also shows a lack of ambition as well. I think you're not willing to fight for those great signings. But
lastly, DZ, before we move on to the next caller, do you think that we will get out the Champions League group?
Oh no, I think that tie yesterday between Bayern and Copenhagen really hurt us too. We were expecting Bayern to absolutely wallop them, but I just want to say, it's not Trashford, it's Washford, and he shouldn't be in the team anymore. 6 goals in 3 games. He's contributed 1 pen. Love you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, DZ. Love you.
Love you. Take care, pal. Yeah, I love
DZ. We've got time quickly.
Yeah.
For one last caller.
Okay.
So we have Ben. We'll do it quickly. Ben,
okay. Hi,
in
Ben.
the chat. You take it away, DZ. I always call you that, double A.
DZ. Ben, hi. You want to talk about the overall gameplay for Manchester United? Tell us your thoughts then, please, pal.
Hey guys, great show so far. It's been nice to listen and get all these opinions after that debacle yesterday.
Always.
So
Absolutely.
Always. Less for us to talk about and be sad about. We can hear you guys' opinions, which is always great. But yeah, let us know what you think about Manchester United at the moment.
yeah, I think the reason why everything is so erratic and inconsistent is the overall way that we're playing the game. There was absolutely no control over the game at all yesterday.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not asking to play out the back like prime Ajax or anything like that, because I understand that you can't do it with Lindelof and Maguire and McTominay and Bruno. Like and everyone in the midfield. I get that you can't do it. However, the amount of long balls that were just launched into outer space yesterday,
Yeah.
from the keeper, from the defenders, the midfield, it was maddening. Like I couldn't believe the amount of times we would gain possession and then immediately give the ball back.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to single out the keeper. Yeah, he made those mistakes, but it was the overall team play why those mistakes started to happen in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we just need to gain control over the midfield, gain control over the defense. We just need to be able to use the ball better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's insane to me how we can't possess the ball for longer than a minute, right?
It's frustrating.
Like,
yeah, really frustrating.
And if we continue to play like this, Mark has actually been going on about it for a while now. He's calling it survival football. If we keep trying to play survival football, we're never going to take a step forward.
No.
And I don't want to turn this into the Arsenal stand because everyone's been going on about it, but I tortured myself. As soon as the game ended yesterday, I turned on the Arsenal game. I turned on the fan forum, and the way that Arsenal is able to retain possession and recycle the ball and be confident, and their players knew where each other were going to be. It was like everyone's been saying, it's absolutely light years ahead of us.
Yeah.
And I know we can't play like that with our current players. But we're gonna need a long time and a couple windows to be able to get anywhere near that level.
Yeah, I agree. With the players we currently have then, you're saying losing that control, not being able to keep the ball, do you think we get Casemiro back, we've got Amrabat, would you like to see Mainu alongside one of those two, and do you think that could improve those deficiencies we have in that midfield at all?
Yeah, so I think Kobe is a complete breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I hope, fingers crossed, that he can be the future of that deep line playmaker that Eric has wanted since he's gotten here.
Absolutely.
He does completely different things than Casemiro does. I mean, listen, in a perfect world, I would love to see Kobe, Casemiro, and Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
But Casemiro's nowhere near getting back on the field. So as of right now, on Saturday, I would love to see Kobe, Amrabat, and Bruno. I actually think that brings a great balance to the midfield. Kobe can receive the ball from the defense and link up the front to the back. I think Amrabat does a great job of shielding the defense and doing that crazy dirty work that he does.
Yeah.
And then Bruno will be able to create and do his thing up top. So I actually think that's a great balanced way of going forward. I really am so anti going in on any specific player because that's the way this fan base has become so divided over the past years.
Yeah.
But I really want McTominay to drop out of the starting lineup because I think he's one of the main reasons why we can't control the midfield.
That control, I agree.
I absolutely agree with you on the sense of I would definitely start that midfield on Saturday. I don't think Ten Hag will, but it's for me the most balanced midfield we have right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean McTominay is guaranteed. We like to say he's Bruno's the first person on the team sheet, but McTominay is also one of the very first people on the team sheet right now, whether we like it or not. So it's. Yeah. I think on Saturday, Ten Hag will go. I think he'll go Kobe, Bruno, McTominay. I think that's what we'll see.
Last thing I'll ask you, Ben, before you leave: score prediction for Newcastle.
Oh, don't make me
Wow.
do this.
Wow.
Don't make me do this.
Sit on the fence, Ben. Sit on the fence.
No. I'm a realist. Listen, I hate to say it, but 3-1 Newcastle.
Ooh,
Oh.
wow.
I,
Okay.
I get where you're coming from. Thanks, Ben, for the call.
That's just where we're at right now.
It is, you're right. Ben, thank you so much for your call. Real pleasure to speak to you. Some great
guys.
points. Take care.
Lastly, to just finish up the show, I have this in from Rob Dawson at the ESPN.
Okay.
Eric Ten Hag is continuing to back the signing of Andre Onana and will likely play him against Newcastle this weekend unless he makes it clear that he wants to be taken out of the firing line.
He has to, because it's his man. And listen, Onana, you're never going to bring Bayern into a Newcastle game away. It's just not going to happen. Like I did look over the last 10 games they both played. Obviously, Bayern has not played for United this season, just for Turkey, which obviously played in a 3-2 win against Germany in 90 minutes and 45 minutes against Japan in a loss. But in the last 10 games, Bayern has conceded 10 goals having 3 clean sheets, and Onana has conceded 15 goals with 3 clean sheets. So they are very similar in sort of the records.
So we've got two goalkeepers that love to concede.
Yeah, but we don't know anything about Bayern. We've not seen him play for United yet. So he needs to get some game time before the Africa Cup of Nations. It's just never going to be the Newcastle game. It'd be unfair to do that to him.
Just to finish up the show, thank you everybody for getting involved. I've loved this calling show. I think it's been the best
really
one
good.
so far.
Really good. Is that because of me? No, the callers.
You know what? We'll say it is.
50-50.
The callers are amazing as well, and everyone in the chat too. But a few super chats to end the show. Sam Brock says not being able to keep the ball is a symptom of the past 7 seasons. We don't have the players to play that way. Our best player, Bruno, is too high risk.
Yeah.
The Pirate says what happened to the meter rule with the wall. Keel says Rashford on the right has given us more goals. Shuan said, honestly, I feel Eric Ten Hag took Amrabat off too early. And Shane P says, Onana was man of the match, but for them. Anyway, guys, thank you for the show. Absolutely loved it. Loving these calling shows. Love the community. And Double A, thank you for being a great co-host as well.
Thanks for having me on. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely.
Yes, have a lovely rest of your Thursday. Mark will be back with the 8 p.m. show tonight, Presser tomorrow, and then we go into Newcastle at St James's Park. I would like to say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm really not. But thank you, everyone.
Come on, United.
We'll see you on the next one.